Hi, my name's Anne, I'm from Ditsy Pips, and today I'm going to show you how to make a coaster. You're going to need a 4.5mm crochet hook, your double knit yarn, 2 stitch markers will probably be helpful, and you'll need a pair of scissors. And this is the coaster pattern from the beginner's handout. Now there are going to be 4 different stitches in this pattern, and I'll demonstrate them all as we go through. We're going to make a chain, double crochet stitches, single crochet stitches and slip stitches. Now that's if you're using US terms. I'll translate each of them as we go through, but a double crochet stitch in US terms is a treble crochet stitch if you're using UK terms, and a single crochet in US terms is a double crochet in UK terms. We're going to start off with the yarn fastened onto the hook and make a chain of 5. So to make the first chain, yarn over and pull the hook back through the loop, and there's our first chain. We're going to make 4 more of these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these all get joined together in a ring, so what we're going to do is slip stitch into the first chain that we made. That's the 5th chain from the hook. Remember that the loop on the hook doesn't count as a stitch. And if you weren't sure and you wanted to count them, you're looking for the bumps across the top. So that's chain 5, that's 4, that's 3, that's 2, and this is the first chain that we made, chain number 1 just here. To make the slip stitch, don't yarn over, insert the hook under that top loop of the chain, like so. That gives you 2 loops on the hook. You yarn over and pull back through both of them, and that joins your chains into a ring. Now all of the stitches from round 1 are going to be made into the middle of this ring of chains, here where my finger is. So at this stage you may find it easiest to take one of your stitch markers and just pop it into the middle of that ring of chains. Like so. Okay, we're ready for round 1. So, round 1, we're going to start with a chain of 3, and then we're going to make 7 double crochet stitches into the middle of this ring where the stitch marker is, and then join the round up with a slip stitch. So let's start with a chain of 3. That's 1, 2, 3. We're going to take our second stitch marker and insert that into the top of those 3 chains. So remember that the loop on the hook here doesn't count as a stitch. We're looking for the first chain immediately after it, which is just here. I'm going to take the stitch marker and just pop it in that chain like so, and do it up. So where my purple stitch marker is now will be where we make our slip stitch to join the round up when we've finished making it. Now we're going to make 7 double crochet stitches into the central hole here where the stitch marker is, and to make a double crochet stitch, yarn over, insert the hook into the hole, yarn over and come back through. That gives us 3 loops on the hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. That's our first double crochet stitch. Remember, it's a double crochet stitch if you're using US terms, it's a treble crochet stitch if you're using UK terms. Let's just move the rest of this yarn out of the way. There we go. We're going to make 6 more into this hole. So yarn over into the hole, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And again. So now we've done chain 3, 1, 2, 3 double crochet stitches. We need to do 4 more double crochet stitches. Don't forget to rotate your circle as you go, so that you don't end up with all of your stitches all round one side. And 1 more. Now when we count the stitches, we should have 8 stitches for round 1. That's the number in brackets, the stitch count in brackets at the end of the round on the pattern. So your chain 3 counts as 1 double crochet stitch, so that's 1 stitch, and I'm looking for the vertical posts here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now I know I've got all of these 8 stitches. I can take my green stitch marker out of the middle of the ring here, like so. We don't need that one again. Now what we have to do is we have to join these stitches round into a circle, and we're going to join them up with a slip stitch into the stitch marked with the purple stitch marker. Now, to make the slip stitch, don't yarn over. We're going to insert the hook straight in to that space where the purple stitch marker is. When you go in, when you're doing a joining slip stitch like this, you want to make sure that you've picked up 2 strands of yarn on your hook, if you can do, because then it holds it nice and tight. If you only pick up 1 strand of yarn with your hook, you can actually stretch the join. Can you see that? You can stretch the join a really long way, and we don't want that. So when you go in for the slip stitch, pick up 2 strands of yarn like that, and then it will hold your join nice and tight and it won't stretch. And then we yarn over and pull back through everything that's on the hook. There and there, like so. And there we have our first round of stitches. Now I'm going to take the purple stitch marker out because I don't need it. And before we do anything else, we need to tighten up the slip stitch. So if we look, this V just here, just between my thumbnails at the top here, this one, this is the slip stitch. This one right here, this is the double crochet stitch. The slip stitch and the double crochet stitch at this stage look identical. If you leave the slip stitch like this, there's a very good chance that you'll accidentally work into it thinking it's a stitch. Slip stitches don't count in the stitch count, they're just there to be like crochet glue. So we actually need to make this slip stitch as small as possible. And the way that we do that, just keep an eye on here. The way that we do that is we just pull the crochet hook over to the right, like that. Can you see it tightening? And then when you look, this little tiny one here is now the slip stitch because we've tightened it up. So there's the double crochet stitch, there's the slip stitch. Now there's no danger of accidentally working into that one. Now what we're going to do, the last instruction from round 1 is turn. So we're just going to turn it over like so, and we're ready to start round 2. So round 2 starts with a chain of 3, and just like before, we're going to put 1 stitch marker into the top of the chain up here. So let's take this purple stitch marker, not the one on the hook, we're going into the first V immediately underneath it, just there. I always stab myself in the finger a bit when I'm doing that, and we'll do them up like so. Okay, now for this round we need to work 2 double crochet stitches into the first stitch, and then we need to repeat that instruction 6 more times. So the first stitch is just here. Remember, if you're working right-handed, they look like back to front capital P's. So here's the post of the stitch, and here's the top of the stitch just here. We're going to work 2 double crochet stitches into that stitch. So yarn over into the stitch, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. There's 1. We're going to go back into that hole and work a second stitch back in there. So there's 2. Now we need to repeat the instruction 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch 6 more times. So 2 in here, 2 in here, 2 in here, all the way around. Going into the next stitch, again, if you're ever in any doubt, find the post of the stitch. So there's the one that we just worked into. There's the next stitch along, and you're looking for the hole at the top. And we're going to work 2 double crochet stitches into that stitch. So that's one of the 6 done. 2 into the next one. There. You might find, always when you're doing the first couple of rounds, the first stitches are a little bit tricky to find because everything's quite small. So you might find that your stitches are a little bit bent over. Do just straighten them up and have a good wiggle if you're struggling to find your stitches. So there's the next one here. We're doing 2 in this one as well. That's 3 of the 6 done. Here's the next one. There's 4. The next one. Remember, 2 into each of these. So that's 5. And then 2 into this next one here. That's 6. Now, at this stage, it's a good idea to have a count and make sure that we've got everything that we need. Let's just take the hook out so we don't lose the stitch. So we've got chain 3, which is just here, 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, which is just here. See them, 1, 2, and then we're going to repeat that 6 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lovely. Now, just 2 more instructions to go for round 2. We have to make 1 double crochet stitch into the base at the start of the chain 3. So here's your starting chain 3 just here. When it says the stitch at the base of the chain, it doesn't mean the very first chain. It means the stitch that the chains look like they grow out of. So I'm going to hold this really close. I hope I can get it in focus so that you can see it. If we have a look here, let's get it in focus. There we go. We've got 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. So this is our chain 3. We're not working into the chain 3 at all. We're working into the stitch. Let's get it back in focus. Here we go. Into the stitch that the chain looks like it grows out of. So there's the chain, and there's the stitch at the base of the chain. So this hole just here, this is where we're going to work our final double crochet stitch of the round. In there like that. Like so. And then we slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 to join it up. And again, that's where we've put the stitch marker. So insert the hook. Remember, you're looking for 2 loops of yarn on the hook, and then yarn over and pull back through everything. Like so. We'll take the stitch marker out, and we're going to tighten up this slip stitch, and we do that by pulling the hook over to the right. And we turn over, ready for round 3. Now, slightly different pattern sequence for round 3. We're going to start with a chain of 3 again as before. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to pop a stitch marker in. If you find that you have trouble inserting your hook into the chain, what you can do, instead of making the chain 3 and then inserting the hook, you can actually make the first 2 chains, and then you take your stitch marker, and this time we're going to insert the stitch marker into the loop on the hook. So actually on that one there, like that. Then when we make the third chain, you'll find that the stitch marker is already in the chain as we make it. So if you have trouble putting it in otherwise, you can always do it that way if you want to. Now round 3 says double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochet into the following stitch, repeat from the asterisk 6 more times. So let's take that one step at a time. We're going to double crochet into the next stitch. Again, there's the first P in the row, so we're going up here and we're just making 1 double crochet stitch into that stitch. And then it's 2 double crochet stitches into the following stitch. So there's the stitch we've just worked into. Here is our following stitch. There's 1 stitch in there and we're going in for a second. Like so. So we have double crochet into the next stitch, which is this one here, 2 double crochet into the following stitch, which is these 2 just here. We're going to repeat back from the asterisk 6 more times. Now that means repeating this whole sequence. So 1 double crochet followed by 2 double crochet. This is the sequence that we're repeating. So we're going to go into the next stitch and we do 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. So that's 1 repeat of our 6 done. Again, 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. Like so. That's 2 repeats done. I'm going to pause the video here and do the next 4 repeats and come back to you when they're done. So here we go. Now if you're going to count and double check, there's the chain of 3. Here's our first pattern repeat, and then we want 6 more, so we want 7 of these in total. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So the next instruction says double crochet into the next stitch, which is this one just here, and then double crochet into the stitch at the base of the starting chain 3. Here's the chain 3. This is the bottom chain of the chain 3. So the stitch underneath it that this one looks like it grows out of is just here. We're going to make 1 double crochet stitch in there. And then what happens is this double crochet stitch gets slip stitched to join it to the top of the starting chain up here, and that completes the round. So remember to tighten the slip stitch up, and that's our round finished, and we can turn over ready for round 4. Okay, another new sequence again for round 4. We're going to start with a chain of 3. There's 1, 2, 3. Don't forget your stitch marker into the top chain of the chain. So just in there, like so. Now for this round, the instructions say double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 double crochet into the following stitch. So we're going to make 1 double crochet into this first stitch, and 1 double crochet into the stitch afterwards. So that is our double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches done, and then 2 double crochet into the following stitch, which is here, and again we're going to go in once and make a double crochet stitch, and then go back in for a second time, make another one. And this is the pattern sequence for round 4 that we're going to be repeating. Double crochet, 2 double crochet. We're going to repeat from the asterisk 6 more times, so we're repeating this complete sequence. So double crochet into the first stitch and double crochet into the next stitch as well. There's our double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches and 2 into the following one. And again, we're going to do 1, 1, 2. Now again, I've done 2 pattern repeats so far of the 6, so I'll come back to you when I've done the other 4. Okay, so let's have a look and have a count. Let's take that out of there, just while we have a count up. So, chain 3 here, double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 double crochet into the following stitch. That's 1 repeat. Now remember, we were repeating this sequence 6 more times, so we want 7 repeats in total. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's our 7 repeats. Pop this back in here. We're going to finish the round with a double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, oh, pick up both loops of the stitch, and then a double crochet into the stitch at the base of the starting chain 3. So here's the starting chain 3, there's the stitch at the base of it, in there, like so, and slip stitch into the top of the starting chain 3 to join it up. So don't yarn over, just go straight in, yarn over, back through, everything on the hook, and then take the stitch marker out and tighten that slip stitch up. And that's round 4 complete. Turn it over, ready to start round 5. So round 5 is actually a different stitch. Round 5 is an edging round, and we're going to use a single crochet stitch to form the edging. That is a US single crochet stitch or a UK double crochet stitch if you're using UK terms. Now it's a really short stitch, so the round only starts with a chain of 1. And actually we're not going to put the stitch marker in the chain this time round, because when we do the slip stitch, we're not going to slip stitch into there. We'll slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch when we've made it. So we're going into our first stitch, which is just here. To make a single crochet stitch, don't yarn over, go straight in, then yarn over and come back through the stitch. That gives you 2 loops on your hook, yarn over through both of them. And we're going to put the stitch marker in this first stitch just here that we've just made. So you're looking for the V of the stitch, which is just here. We don't want it to go in the loop on the hook, we're looking for that V. In there like that. Now the pattern says we need to make 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch. So we're going back into this one. Again, don't yarn over, just go straight into the stitch, yarn over, come back through the stitch, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over through both of them. And we're going to do that into all of the rest of the stitches all the way around. So in, yarn over, back through, yarn over through 2. In, yarn over, back through, yarn over through 2. I've got quite a few stitches to go, so I'm going to come back to you when I'm towards the end of the round. Here we are, this is the round complete. So the only thing that we have to do now is slip stitch into the first of these single crochet stitches, and we're going to insert the hook in where the stitch marker is. Make sure that you're picking up the whole V from the stitch on top of your hook. Can you see that there? I'm going to take the stitch marker out at this stage because now the hook's in, I don't need it in there. And yarn over, pull back through everything on the hook. And that finishes the coaster. Now we just need to fasten off. And so we're going to cut the yarn, leave yourself, remember, always, if you can do, leave yourself a tail that's at least 10 centimetres long, because it makes it much easier when you come to sewing your ends in. So that's cut the yarn. Now, you could, at this stage, just do a yarn over and pull through the loop on the hook like that. But that leaves you with a little bit of a lump on the edge here, and we don't want that. So, let me just undo this. What we're going to do, you got to here, and you've done your slip stitch to join up. Pull up the loop a little bit, enlarge it, and then take the hook out. We're going to insert the hook into the next stitch, which is just here. But instead of inserting it from the front of the crochet, we're going to bring the hook round and insert it from the back. And you want again to have the whole V sat on the top of your crochet hook like that. We're going to take the loop, sit it on the hook, and use the hook to pull the loop through to the back of your crochet. Turn your crochet round and then do the yarn over and pull through the loop that's on your hook, pull it all the way through, and when you pull it to tighten it up, you'll see that your fasten off point then sits below the line of your stitches, so you end up with a lovely tidy circle. Tuck that tail out the way so that you can see it, and there is the finished coaster. Thank you for watching.